This is Mike Bolo of Lexicon Valley.
And I'm Bob Garfield. Are you one of those people who sometimes uses words?
Do you communicate or acquire information with, language?
Hey, us too. So join us on Lexicon Valley to chew over the history, culture, and many mysteries of English, plus some wisecracks.
Find us on one of those apps where people listen to podcasts.
Do you love the Tabernacle Choir? This year, the choir's music is everywhere you are. Listen to your favorite choir songs and music and the spoken word anytime you want on Alexa by simply enabling the skill.
Alexa, play music in the spoken word.
Now playing music in the spoken word.
You can also download the Tabernacle Choir app, subscribe to the choir on YouTube, listen on Spotify, and have access to all their wonderful music. Happy listening.
All right, thanks for joining us. DJ's out. Riley Jensen, the quarterback mental health performance coach. He can help your business, your sales team do better. I don't know that he could help Jay Drew do better because when you're at the top of your game, there's nowhere else to go. Guy's been covering BYU sports for 37 years, and there's no end in sight. Is that not correct, Jay Drew?
Yeah, good morning to you too, PK.
Yeah.
I certainly can use some mental health on the golf course. I will say that. But,
yeah, we all can.
We can keep that between us. We can keep that between us.
Been covering BYU for 25 years, 20 years, 30 years? What is it?
2008, I think, just around the time that you left the Tribune to go to the dark side. The radio side, not the Deseret News, which I did a while later. But no, it's been since 2008. Max Hall's junior year is kind of how I mark it as I remember it. But it's been quite a while. It's been a good ride.
And so we just completed the basketball season, 1 week away from all that losing in the NCAA tournament. And wow, what a season it was. So many highs, so many ups and downs, disappointment, great times, just basically your assessment now that it's done and we've had a little bit of time to reflect.
Yeah, a very mixed bag, I think, is how Kevin Young put it after the Texas loss. Up and down season, started with such high anticipation, obviously the most anticipated season in BYU basketball history, with AJ coming on and Rob Wright coming over from Baylor and Richie Saunders coming back, and on. And they started out well and won their 16 of their first 17 games, and there were a few signs of leakage. I don't know what you want to say. And then they got beat at Texas Tech. That was kind of a loss that showed that there were some flaws, that they did have some issues, especially on defense. And then, even then when Richie went down on February 14th against Colorado very early, they were starting to even regress further. As far as the Oklahoma State loss on the road, I think was really, really telling that this team had some issues. And then, obviously, got it together. When they were at the Marriott Center, there was a really harsh loss that really, I think, that was the key loss of the season, if you ask me, and that was to UCF at home. The way they lost, the way they were really not that competitive. And at that time, I think a lot of people started to hit the panic button. And then, they won a couple of good games. They beat Iowa State. They beat Texas Tech at home, a couple of teams that, won some NCAA tournament games. So, yeah, it was just a mixed bag. I've termed it a disappointment. I think that's fair. I think they did not meet expectations, even with the injuries. And so, they move on from there, but that's kind of my synopsis, I guess, of the season. I don't think it was a wasted season. I've seen some people say it was a wasted season, that they wasted AJ's talents. I think that's that's a stretch, I think. But yeah, they did not get the most out of what they had. That's certainly for sure.
Well, I think you brought up a really good point there. I think the thing that ruins everything in life is expectations. But I do have a question. I do have a question. what was the most? What was the thing that surprised you the most behind the scenes? Was it injuries, talent evaluation, player development, or something else that we didn't see? And is this program going to bounce back without DeBanza? I mean, I know people are like trying to act like he's coming back. He's not coming back, right?
Yeah, he's not coming back. It would be the shocker of all shockers if he came back.
Right.
I think you hit two things there that would surprise me. Talent evaluation in roster construction, even before, they took the court. Clearly, they overvalued some guys. I don't want to call out any guys publicly, but there were just some guys that did not perform as well as they thought and what they were, frankly, being paid to do in this era of revenue sharing and NIL. So that was a big one. I think a couple of guys did not develop. They did not get better, and it's particularly big guys, inside players. Again, I don't want to really call out anybody, but there were just guys that they were counting on and just did not take that next step and get better, especially in the areas of rebounding and defense, and also any sort of offensive proficiency outside of 6 feet. So, yeah, those are two main things I think that surprised me, that where the program didn't take that next step, and to where, even to match where they were last year, where they had some really great role players, guys that improved as the season went on, guys like Trevin Nell, Mawit Mag, Dallin Hall, that were really essential last year. They just didn't have that type of guys this year that kind of got them over the top and really contributed to what they were calling the big three, obviously, with the AJ and Rob Wright and Richie Saunders until he got hurt. That element just wasn't there this year, and that to me was quite a surprise.
Jay Drew of the Des News joining us. I'm standing in the hallway of the Moda Center in Portland, and it's probably at least an hour, if not longer, that the season had ended. And Kevin Young is there, and he's saying that, to him, shooting is the holy grail. And I know you listened to that and quoted it at all as far as that. And I'm wondering, okay, and you put on a team this year with a lineup with a lot of times you had 3 non-shooters out on the floor when Saunders went down. So with that in mind, and if he wants to emphasize shooting and it's the holy grail to him, that would lead me to believe that there's going to be a significant roster overhaul, and he's going to go find shooters because he's got a ton of guys who are athletic but can't shoot a lick. What do you think about that, and where does he go from with that in mind?
Yeah, absolutely. That was the Achilles heel of this team, or that was one of them, along with defenses. They just did not have shot makers. And I think you're right. I think probably of the 11 guys that are kind of eligible to come back, that still have eligibility, I think they'll probably 6 or 7 will be back. So I think you're probably losing 4 or 5. I'm assuming Dawson Baker is going to get clearance from the NCAA and get that year back and come back. But that's not set in stone yet. So, yeah, I would say there is going to be turnover. I mean, in this day and age, there were some teams last year that they, every single guy, I think UCF is one of them, that the roster was 100% overhaul. So, that shouldn't shock anybody. But, yes, I think if you look at it, probably half of the guys that are eligible to be back will be back in my estimation. Maybe 1 or 2 above that.
Shooting is paramount, so the guys coming back shoot. Like, for instance, we haven't seen the Kozlowski kid play, but I saw him play in high school many times, and the kid's feet set. And
Jay, this Corner Canyon stuff with Patrick Kinahan has got to stop. He is just over the top. Cannot stop fawning over anything Corner Canyon.
If you were accepted into the family, you would have the same opinion. But you're an outsider, and we don't appreciate outsiders. The kid can shoot, and I want to see him get an opportunity because I've seen him knock down 15 to 18-footers at a high clip. So that's one guy. Who else? In terms of can shoot. If that matters, then do you think that he's going to put more of a premium on shooting rather than running and jumping?
Yeah, I think so. We don't know with Nate Pickens. He came from UC Riverside. He tore up BYU when they played a year ago, and then obviously BYU signed him, got hurt in the off season, had surgery, and never played. Assume he can shoot. He'll be back. We know Dawson Baker's a decent shooter. One of those guys, like you said, that if he can get his feet set, he's a pretty good slasher, but he's not that type of guy. He's a spot-up shooter, and I think he can help them. But, yeah, they definitely need guys out of the portal. Tyler Moross, they brought in from Idaho, just never found his stroke. They gave him plenty of opportunities when they played some cupcakes in the pre-non-conference schedule, so I don't expect that he'll be back. KJ Perry, the junior college transfer that was there on the bench, and everybody was asking, who's that guy? He was brought in to basically redshirt the second half of the season. So he was the number one rated junior college transfer in the cycle a year ago. So I'm assuming he can shoot. So the answers might be right there, guys that have been, on the bench in the program. But I think you definitely need even more upgrades than even if those guys are capable shooters. I think, and obviously the portal opens on April 7th, the day after the national championship game, and I'm sure BYU coaches are already doing their due diligence and looking and finding out who's maybe going to enter the portal, and I'm sure some of those conversations are already taking place.
What do you know about this Bruce Branch kid?
I don't know a heck of a lot about him. I've watched a few clips. I know he reclassified, which means he moved up a grade, I guess is how you would say it. So he technically he could still play next year as his high school senior year, but he reclassified, so he's basically going to play for BYU this coming fall. I had one guy tell me that, hey, if they're expecting the second coming of A.J. DeBanza, they're going to be sorely, disappointed. Yeah, exactly. But from everything I heard, so he's not one of those game changer type guys, but obviously he's a 5-star recruit. So there's a lot of people out there that know a lot more than I do that have rated his talent as among the best in the country. So yeah, I think it should be a good addition. I don't know if he can step in right away and be with this kind of shooter that they're expecting, but definitely a good get for Kevin Young, no question about it.
There's you're actually talking about the reclassification, and this one was kind of the opposite way, a la Cooper Flagg. But man, there's been a lot of talk about this. Do you want to explain a little bit what that is and why some of these football coaches are joking that they're getting 20-year-old freshmen now? You mean being the guy that he's the opposite of where he moved up a year, but I'm not really sure what you're asking. So what I'm saying is I've even had some BYU coaches joking about, like, guys are reclassifying, and by the time they get to BYU, they're 20 years old as a freshman. And there's been some specific references to, like, kids out of Hawaii. When my kid's playing in, like, little AAU basketball tournaments now, if he plays out of state, the games are, like, depending on what grade you're in, not your birth certificate. So, like, my son's in 5th grade and he's playing against 7th graders that are in 5th grade because they've reclassified. Like, is this, to me, it just feels like this is craziness what's going on with all the reclassification.
Reclassifying the other way.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I've certainly heard that, holding a kid back to basically,
Yeah, give him 1 and 2 more, like almost 2 more years.
Yeah, for sure. That'll be interesting. There's also talk of kind of these age limits I've seen floated out there that, hey, once a guy's 25, he's, shouldn't be playing college sports anymore. So, it might catch up to him. And then when you're BYU and Utah and some of the local schools, the missionary aspect also comes into play with that. So, yeah, that's I haven't seen that a lot, but I'll take word for it that's happening. And I've actually been surprised where I've asked kids, how old are you? And they've been a year or two older than I thought they were.
Right.
And so obviously that's happened somewhere along the line where they've been held back a year or two.
Yeah, you've been covering BYU football for a long time. I think you just said from 2008. And I feel like every year, depending on the program you're in, everybody's telling me they're the best recruiting class ever. BYU is actually legitimately making an argument that this could be their best year. With some of the, the high-profile signees that are still on missions and some of the staff changes, what are you seeing in the spring and summer that will tell us if Kalani Sitake's program is truly ready to take the next step?
Yeah, one caveat is that we don't get to watch a heck of a lot of spring football. And then when we do, we're on the balcony of the student-athlete building, and they're at the far north end of the practice field, and you can't barely even make out the numbers or who's doing what. And then there's a kind of a barrier there. So to be totally honest, I haven't seen a lot. But I will just say the overall look of the program, the way the guys are bigger and stronger, and they just have that look of Power 4 football team. I've seen that upgrade, just the physical element of it, of just, the eyeball test, if you were. They look the part now. And I couldn't always say that. I remember a few years ago at a bowl game, I guess it was more than a few years ago, when BYU played Oregon in the Las Vegas Bowl, and I just couldn't get over the difference of just the physical size. And, there were all these physical specimens on Oregon's side and very few on BYU's. BYU ended up winning that game, but my point is that BYU really now looks that part. And so, that's through recruiting, that's through the transfer portal, but it looks like a bona fide Power 4 football team right now.
With that in mind, they're losing some receivers. Obviously, the Roberts graduation or out of eligibility, and then the Kingston situation. So, what do you think as far as being able to have enough pass catchers for them to get the ball downfield the way Aaron Roderick wants?
Yeah, I'm kind of skeptical. I've written that. I've said that I think personally that they need more upgrades. They got Kyler Casper out of Oregon. He didn't do a heck of a lot at Oregon due to injuries and, being behind other superstars there. They're relying a lot on him. The tight end upgrades are really, really good. Walker Lyons looks like from USC, and Roger Saliapaga from also, or was it Oregon or Washington? I'm not quite sure on him. Oregon, yeah. So, they got a kid named Paki Finau out of Washington. It looks like a really good tackle. It's going to help them a lot. But, yeah, I think they still need help. I don't trust some of these guys coming back maybe as much as BYU coaches do. I'm talking about like JoJo Phillips. Every year they say potential, and he just has never taken that next step. So Cody Hagan is coming on, and I won't mention where he went to high school. I don't want Riley getting on me.
Oh, listen, Patrick knows where he went.
But
best friends with the family.
The University of Corner Canyon.
So, yeah, I just think they need to maybe Slim Pickens out of the transfer portal right now.
I thought he's on the basketball team.
What was that one again?
I thought Slim Pickens is on the basketball team.
He's out of Corner Canyon as well.
Well, they better get some guys because they want to throw the ball, and Bachmeier is primed for a good year, I would think, right?
Oh, yeah. He's, and speaking of expectations and all that, how damaging they can be, is what Riley just said. But, yeah, Bear Bachmeier really looks good. From what we've seen of him, looks like, and coaches have said the same thing, that he's really comfortable and knows the offense. And so, yeah, it's if they can surround him with some talent, and with and LJ Martin obviously is not going through spring right now after the surgery, but obviously they expect him to be 100% in the fall. There's some weapons there, and they just, like I said, I think the tight ends are going to be great, but receiver I think is the big question mark right now.
All right, Jay. Hey, thanks for your time this morning. We appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for having me on.
All right, that's Jay
Thanks,
Drew.
Jay.
You can read all of his stuff in the Deseret News. Veteran reporter, does a phenomenal job covering all things Cougars and does some golf here as we get into the summer and the golf season. Stay with us. We'll get you caught up on what you may have missed next, right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.